We good? I think we good. Let's get it started. Let's get it started. Oh yeah. It's a Friday too. Man. Let's get it started. Let's get it started. Am I live right now? Let me double check. Hold on, wait, they showing me a commercial. Why are they doing that? This is a live stream. All right, hold on, let me turn that all the way down. Testing 1, 2, 2. All right, yeah, that sounds good. Okay. OCO, everyone. Hey. OCO. Yeah, we got that mic working today. Hey. How y'all doing? Man, I haven't got any rest yet, so I wanted to holler at y'all, but before I got on this elliptical, hopped in the shower and everything and laid down for a little second. DJ Divine Rising. No notification? Interesting. That's crazy. OCO Kavi. OCO Courageously Beautiful. OCO Michelle Curry. OCO Matrix Jackson. OCO Sylvia. How y'all doing? I know that's why I'm going to turn that down a little bit because I think that's going to be louder than me. I'm not sure. I forgot how it is. CO Ball Styles in the building. OCO. Yeah, as far as the notifications, you know how they do. It's YouTube. Sleepy Montana in the building. I see you. Only on Discord? Okay. At least Discord cranking. Lady Diggs in the building. OCO from Connecticut. Connecticut in the building. Let me go ahead and drop that bomb for Connecticut. Dallas, Texas in the building. I see you. Savannah, Georgia on deck. I see you. Bro, there wasn't no notification from YouTube either, bro. And I was lucky to go on here and see you went live. I mean, what? Like man. Over 500,000 subscribers. And ain't nobody getting no notification, bro. Like, I mean, it is what it is. Louisiana in the building. Who that? Alabama in the building. North Philly in the building. Birmingham, Alabama in the building. Miami, Florida in the building. Who that? Grand Rapids in the building. North Carolina in the building. Millington, Tennessee in the building. That went kind of quick on my side. Olive Branch, Mississippi. Detroit, Michigan. OCO. Atlanta, Georgia. Ghost Dog, I appreciate that. I appreciate that, brother. Thank you for the dono. And Dark Moon Goddess, thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you, sister. Brother Kyle Hall, I appreciate that, brother. Thank you. I appreciate that. I hope all of y'all are doing well this rising. I got some things to talk about. I'm gonna have some stuff up on screen. Before I get into some other stuff later on, I'm not sure if I should make this one super long, but It depends on how stuff goes. But I got a few things. I got a few things to talk about. I got a few things to share with you. And I'm gonna invite you up too. Also, I think I got everything set up where I could invite some people up. So Augusta, Georgia in the building. Rochester, New York in the building. Lancaster in the building. Who that? Cherokee, Lenape. What's going on? Levante, what's going on, brother? Camalicious Thompson, you are amazing. I appreciate that. Thank you. Appreciate that, family. That's love right there. Texas in the building. Mississippi. Memphis 10 in the building. Memphis 10 in the building. Decatur, Georgia in the building. Oklahoma in the building. Cincinnati, Ohio in the building. Virginia in the building. What up, VA? Columbia, South Carolina in the building. What up, South Carolina? South Kakalaka. Charlotte, North Carolina in the building. What's up, North Carolina? Who that right there? Arkansas in the building. Johnston, PA in the building. Memphis 10. Hey, Memphis in here. Crazy. Toronto. What's going on? Who that? Canada? Oh, yeah, y'all up there. Okay. What's going on? Okay, what time is it out there? Alito from Decatur. OCO. Wisconsin in the building. Amani in the building. What's up, Amani? Big up, big up, big up, big up.
Set it on fire. Fire, fire, fire.
Yeah, we appreciate the donations. Thank y'all so much. Also appreciate the memberships that's coming through. Alaskan Whiskey, I appreciate that. Thank you, brother. Welcome to the squad. Jackson, Mississippi. Fayetteville, North Carolina. Erie, PA. Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Sacramento, California. Wisconsin in the building. I'm seeing a couple Wisconsins. There's 9 out here, Dane. What you mean? You ain't in Canada? You talking about Chi-Town, right? Chi-Town in the building. What's going on now? What you doing? On vacation real quick? Bronx, New York in the building. Jersey in the building. Absolutely. Speak truth? Absolutely. Downtown Augusta, Georgia. Greensboro, North Carolina. What's IE? California. You gotta tell me what that's about. Minnesota in the building. Well, shout out to Cali, though. Cali in the building. Turtle Island, Florida in the building. What up, Florida? Shout out to the whole Turtle Island, man. Let me drop a bomb. No, I was talking about Canada. Oh, okay. It's 9 out Canada. 9 o'clock? Like a.m.? Like, see, I don't be paying attention to their time zone. Last time I went to Canada was like, it had to be about 10 years ago. Delaware in the building. St. Louis in the building. Naptown in the building. What up, Naptown? South Carolina in the building. Potomac, Michigan in the building. Inland Empire. What up, Thunder Bear? What up, Thunder Bear? Thunder Bear in the building. Who that? That jumped so fast. Ashley Ashwood, I appreciate that. Thank you for becoming a member. Ontario Duncan, I appreciate that. Thank you for becoming a member. Queen Hershey in the building. Thank you for becoming a member. I appreciate that, sister. Oh, and you doubled up. I appreciate the donation. Thank you, Queen Hershey. I appreciate that. Thank you. I am Ray John. Appreciate you for becoming a member. Now, those of you that became members, don't forget to join the 13% server. because y'all get special things going on inside the server. It's like you got to see what I'm talking about. Another side of the server open up, the 13% community server, and y'all get to see exclusive stuff. Be sure to check that out. Tay Royale. I hope I'm saying that right. That could be Tay or Ty, but I think it's Tay Royale or Royal. I appreciate that. So there is a IE California? I'm not hip to that. Arkansas in the building. 918 of Tulsa. Very handsome parents. Well, my father, yeah, my mother, beautiful, you know. I appreciate that, though. Thank you. Thank you, Joy. My father would, oh, man, look. Every time, like when I drop weight, and you'll see, I'm going to show y'all in a minute when I'm dropping my weight. I'm dropping that thing now. I'm about to get back down. But every time me and my father go to the store, they think we twins. They never felt, oh, y'all twins? But nah, that's my son. It'd be hilarious. Arthur, I appreciate that donation. Shout out to you. I'm going to drop a bomb for you. I appreciate that. Oh, that's far East Cali? Oh, okay. That's my first time hearing that, IE California. I appreciate that. I appreciate y'all for coming out. Perry Corsi. I appreciate that, brother. Thank you for becoming a member. Lady Diggs been a member for 3 months. Shout out to Lady Diggs. True Haru, the Thunderland, been a member for 8 months. Long Beach, Cali. I see you, brother. I appreciate that. Who that right there? Lady Lotus Healing. Huh? Oh, that's a emote right there. I was like, wait, that's a message? I appreciate that, sister. Oh, that's hot. They get to do emotes in here. That's my first time seeing that. Michael Terry, I appreciate that. Let me drop a bomb for both of y'all. They'll let y'all do. I mean, I think I'm pronouncing that right? Emojis or emotes or, you know. I ain't trying to sound old. Because I don't know. I like the GIF. GIF. G-I-F. GIF. I think that's a GIF, right? I like that. I'm actually just noticing a few people did that already. I'm just noticing that now. I didn't know that YouTube had that type of option. I'm dropping weight too as we speak. Health is wealth. Yeah, man. Yeah, man. That's a must for me, man. But I wanted to be a certain weight percentage when I drop it down and build it back up. So as far as muscle is concerned, so I think I'm gonna probably be at a certain particular weight, you know, for the rest of my life. Hopefully, I'm gonna just keep it up. But yeah, man, it's time. It's time. It's getting hot. Well, it's hot now. I mean, certain places it ain't hot. But yeah, it was time to chop all this down, man. I've been in hibernation mode for a minute. I gotta chop all that down. Get back right. Man, listen. So I'm about to talk to y'all about a few things before we get into a couple of things as far as the segment is concerned. But yeah, man. I can't wait. Hold up. You at 93 pounds? Man. Boy, you stand up. Hercules. Yeah, man. It's time, man. Yeah. Time to get them arms right. Hold up. Let me switch these screens real quick.
OCO, freethinkers. You're now tuned into the realest historian on the planet.
His brother, he is raising some serious questions.
He's here to make you think.
What I'm trying to do is get our people to understand that we have been lied to all the way around about our history. Can you name any other group of people, no matter their skin complexion, that are being labeled primarily as the name of two continents? Not two countries, two continents. That is called a misnomer, which is the act of applying a wrong name to some person or thing.
The best teacher you wished you had in school. Have your pens and paper handy and get ready to take notes.
I want y'all to check out somebody named Dane Calloway. Dane Calloway? Look into Dane Calloway. He has a lot of information about how this whole shit was told in reverse. Okay, where they say, oh, we came from Africa over here. No, a lot of us was already here.
And information that was put together by a man by the name of Dane Calloway, who is also questioning the slave trade. And he's done some remarkable videos on the history of the slave trade in the United States. And he's gone back down the food chain and gone back down the line, and he's realized that a lot of the so-called African Americans in the United States are not African at all. They're actually Native Americans, because the slave trade did not happen the way we were told that it happened.
It's Dane Calloway.
Dane Calloway. Go and watch this man's channel, man. This dude is phenomenal, and he don't get the accolade and his flowers right now. You know what I'm saying? Because this dude gives some powerful information, some common sense. Go dig deep in research. Maybe even have to spend a couple dollars on research if you truth seeking. Not fact checking, truth seeking. Because there's a difference.
It's Dane Calloway on I'm Just Here to Make You Think Radio.
Turn it up. Look, 100 years after 100 years, they done lied to us about this and that. Told us all we from Africa. I made fiction characters turn into facts. Heard you tell me then it was not. No goddamn well that trick was capped. My wife and I wrote a book about it. It's a book with knowledge, evidence, and fact. And my other book got them haters shook, cause it's helping my people take a closer look at their backgrounds in the background, showing my people where they supposed to look. Showing my people where they get it from, where they hit it from, all sorts of angles. When it comes to this research, you must please first, don't trust strangers. Find out all of your homeless, what I highly recommend and suggest. And if you looking for answers and content about me, I highly recommend you the best. Which is my website at the link you see just across the screen. Don't let it miss you. I make it simple. I double down on that black and white. It's so official.
OCO, I appreciate everybody coming out. I know it's a little early for those. Let me hold up. Before it went past, Miss G Mason, I saw you. Thank you for becoming a member. I don't want you to think I didn't see it. Thank you, sister. I appreciate that. Keisha Banks, I believe I pronounced your name correctly. Keisha Banks. It could be Kissa Banks. I apologize, sister, if I got it wrong, but I appreciate you for becoming a member. And Mer84, I appreciate you for becoming a member. Thank you so much. I'm sorry, I had to bring the mic up, my bad. And Keith, thank you for becoming a member. Thank you, brother. Arthur, thank you for becoming a member. And Richana, thank you for becoming a member, sister. I'm gonna drop a bomb for all of y'all. Drop a bomb for all of you that's out there. So, you already know what we about to talk about, right? I mean, at least this the first part of it. If you don't know by now, maybe some of you didn't get the word, but this is an actual real article that I'm getting ready to read here. Oh, actually, this is the screenshot. Hold on, I'm gonna show you the real article after the screenshot. Oh, I got to pull that up. So the article was by the Wall Street Journal. The U.S. considers asking Black Americans on census if they are slave descendants. I'm going to just let that sink in for a second. Okay. I'm going to just let that sink in for a second, y'all, because I want y'all to understand. Can y'all hear me? We good, right? The mic is good? Let me make sure we got a mic check before we get in here. Yeah, look at Thunderbird. Y'all already know. Look, hey, y'all already know what's going on. And we going to have to talk about this because I'm like, listen, look, I'm trying to tell you. You already know what time it is. You know what this is about. We good, loud and clear? All right, good. Yeah, trickery. Look, y'all. Listen, okay? Hold on. Give me a second. Let me pull up the article so y'all can see it at the same time. Because that's the screenshot. Hold up. Okay. All right. Here go the article. Right? This is the real article. I know you can't see it unless you got a subscription. That's how they do it. So it's a few things that I want to go over that's inside of this article. And I just want to point this out. Okay, so let's start with the beginning of it. At the very beginning of the article and what it states. Right at the top, it says the U.S. government is considering asking Black Americans on federal forms, including the census, whether their ancestors were enslaved. But hold up. Wait a minute. If we were taught in school that our ancestors were enslaved, why do you need to ask us? We were taught by y'all, right? Hold up. That's a big deal. Now, what it is now I want y'all to listen to this very closely. Listen to how they worded this, okay? In a proposed update to how the government tracks American race and their ethnicity, the Biden administration is asking the public for input on how it might go about differentiating Black people who are descendants of slaves in America from those who families arrived more recently as immigrants from sub-Saharan Africa, the Caribbean, or other countries. Listen, what they just say? They said in a proposed update to how the government tracks Americans' race. Then this, keep in mind, this ain't got, but what they're trying to do is make it seem as if this has something to do with reparations, as if they're going to move forward with the reparations point. But I also want to point out something at the bottom. Hold on. Let me come down for y'all. It says right here, I'm going to highlight it. Did I highlight the whole thing? Yeah. So the potential change is one of several the Biden administration is thinking about adopting to redefine how race and ethnicity are measured on government forms, which typically indicate how other institutions collect demographic data. Once again, this has nothing to do with reparations. Now, what they're going to do within this article, they're trying to state, the San Francisco, all that stuff going on in California, people bringing up the Americans, descendants of slavery argument. But listen to me, you can't bypass what I told you. You can't bypass. You have to prove that your ancestors were enslaved. Now, they putting it back on you, in which I told you, I said this like in 3 or 4 videos, that they were going to do that. The government is going to put it on you. It's not going to be up to them. It's going to be up to you to prove that your ancestors were enslaved. They're not trying to tell you how to prove that. And I told you how. You're looking for indentures, contracts, manumission records. I stated this before. And I also broke down a couple of other things that will indicate that your ancestors were enslaved, aka hired by an employee. This ain't got nothing to do with chains and shackles. This was all about employment. Your ancestors were working for somebody. Now, another reason why you know that this has all to do with employees is because the people that they were working for, when taxes came in, can we put two and two together? When taxes came in, that stuff had to be reported. How many people, like, why do you think that they were telling, like, certain people had this many slaves, certain people had that many slaves? Why you think that? Do you think they were bragging about it? Or did they actually have to send that back to the government? So that employer can be taxed, and same thing with the employees. Eventually that happened. Prior to that, this is the reason why the Civil War went down. Because when they wanted to implement this is the upgraded version that we're seeing right now of slavery, everybody being taxed. The Civil War happened because of that. The South didn't want taxes, the Union did, or the North, whatever you want to say. But that was their way to implement a tax for having your own business. They wanted to tax you. Or having your own business and having employees. They wanted a piece of that. So to go back to this, we're going to stay on this topic for a little bit because there's a couple things I got to show you outside of this article. But once again, that part right here, where it says the potential change is one of the several things that the Biden administration is thinking about adopting to redefine how race and ethnicity are measured on government forms, which typically dictate how other institutions collect demographic data. Once again, all they're trying to do is to see right now what type of black they want to categorize you as. Whether if you're a black immigrant, a black American, you understand what I'm saying? Like, what do you feel comfortable being labeled by strangers as? What do you feel comfortable by being labeled as strangers as? Like, what they're giving you the opportunity to say what type of black you want to be labeled. Then they saying, okay, what's going to differentiate you between those and black immigrants is you proving that your ancestors, that your ancestors were a part of slavery or were slaves in general. You got to prove that. So if the government is looking to consider asking black Americans on federal forms, including the census, whether their ancestors were enslaved, that's up to you, the individual. So that means that you can't take what you learned in school and apply that. That's number one. Number two, it's going to be thousands to millions of our people not knowing what to do in order to get that done. Like, that is a big deal. Big deal, especially if they talk. See, everybody making it seem like they want to implement. I mean, they're about to get money. Before I say that, everybody wants to, they want to believe that they're about to get some type of reparations, which is fine. You can think that, but you know that this particular government is not for our people, so they're going to go to great lengths, to the extreme, to make sure that you crossed all T's and dotted all I's before they start handing out anything. Now, as far as California is concerned, California is going the route as far as reparations are concerned by right now. It seems like all you have to do is state that you're a descendant of a slave. But once again, it's not up to the California Reparations Task Force, okay, as the final decision makers. It's still the government making the final decision. It's still up to the government. Because think about it. The governor of California, Governor Newsom, knows for a fact that what the California Reparations Task Force, what they're proposing as far as the budget that they're putting out there for all of the people in California is well over, a couple of times over, how much they even make in taxes in California. How much they bring back per year. So they won't even be able to afford it. So that means it's falling on the federal government. That's why the Biden administration like, all right, well, look, prove it. That's what they're saying. Essentially, that's what they're doing. And that what I'm telling people right now, I understand the fight for reparations. I do. Do we deserve it? Abso-freaking-lutely. But here's the problem. This government has not admitted to any wrongdoing whatsoever. Because if they do, then it doesn't matter how much it costs. They know they owe. Right now, they leaving it up to you to find out their information, to hand it to them. They want to see how much you know. And my entire channel is based on our people's history, not just the American Indian side, even though that has all the more to do with it, because our American Indian identity, even though that was handed to us by immigrants, unfortunately, as far as that identification is concerned, that was given to another set group of incoming foreigners. And they took our spot and took everything that was owed to us. No joke. This is the reason why some of them are mad at me now for telling the truth. Some of them not, but some of them are. They mad at me right now because I've been telling the truth. Like, no, some of y'all, the majority of y'all not supposed to be there. The majority of y'all not supposed to be there. And that was more than just reparations. That was land allotments. That was better education, forming your own government. But keep in mind, it was still infiltrated because all of that is being overwatched by the government. Still, regardless if they so-called have their sovereignty, in which they don't, technically, because if you form a nation, listen, forming a nation is not the same thing as forming a family. Keep in mind, in the past, we never had nations. We had tribes, clans, families. This nation thing is a brand new thing. Brand spanking new. When you talk about nation, you're talking about a club. That's what you're talking about. Keep in mind, we didn't have to have member ID cards to be a part of our families. The only time you need to show ID membership cards is when you're a part of a particular club. That ain't got nothing to do with family at all, no matter how you may feel. So if you're card carrying as a member, once again, some of my family members are card carrying. I'm not knocking y'all, but I just want y'all to understand the difference between the two. There is no way that you have any form of sovereignty when you have to carry a card to say that you are a member of a federal government regulated so-called sovereignty organization. I'm for real. So, okay, let's go back now. Let's go back. Now, if this is a proposed update on how the government is going to track people's races and ethnicities, you got to understand that, yes, what they want you to do is separate yourself from immigrants, which would be people from Africa and other countries. Now, this is no knock to anybody of other countries. I love my Africans. I love my Caribbean islanders or Caribbean islanders, which is South America technically. Okay, we still consider them a part of our bloodline when it comes to Turtle Island. That's North Central Land South and the surrounding islands. That's Turtle Island. That makes up Turtle Island. So that's Hawaii included. Also, I just want y'all to understand, hold up, that what the government wants to do, instead of naming everybody black, okay, this is what we should step in there, and this is what I'm currently working on with a couple folks, you know what I'm saying, that got some, I'm not really trying to put them out there right there, but I'm not trying to put them out there like that. Hold on, let me take back what I'm getting ready to say. But I'm working on something, okay, on this note right here, because this is what we should implement. This is where we should step in and say, look, we don't want to be labeled black at all. At all. In fact, because what are you attaching us to? Because you're saying that we're black Americans. Well, how come there's no label on the census that indicates that there are white Americans? In fact, the 2020 census, the results are still not out. Not out right now. You don't know. And on the 2020 census, guess what? They told the so-called whites that they have to differentiate themselves by way of identification by stating where their family originated from, if they originated from a different country of another continent. That's another reason why I'm looking for those results, because that also shows how many immigrants are actually here. Hold up. That are even considered white right now. And it don't matter their skin complexion, because keep in mind, the status of white by way of the census has nothing to do with skin complexion. Because if it did, then why are Africans considered white? Some people in South America are considered white. Some Latinos are being considered white right now. I'm not making this up. And y'all hollering about we got to fight for blacks. But don't you think that if the government was never for us from the beginning and we were not considered to be white, then what's the opposite of white? Especially if it's a status. If it has nothing to do with skin complexion, then the opposite of white as a status, think about that. Put two and two together. It is definitely not better than white. It will be below it. Don't forget, before they racially categorized us, they classified us. They separated us in classes. So they put us below. Okay? The first class citizens are those that are considered white. We were fighting for citizenship in the 1960s. So that means that we weren't even considered first-class citizens up until that time period. How is that not being brought up? And this is facts. This is real. They were fighting for first-class citizenship then, and they were still being treated unequal. Now, since they considering us citizens right now, then where do we fall? Are we first class, second class, or third? Keep in mind, there's three of them. Where do we fall? Because if we were first class, just like how these whites were, then we will be considered white. Once again, that has nothing to do with your skin complexion. That is the social construct that was put together by this government to label those that they are in favor with when it comes to immigrant relationship. They gonna swoop you white. Yep, we good with y'all folks. You see what I'm saying?
Relax and take notes. Take notes.
So they gonna get treated way better. Now, all these people that they saying in this article that are doing research and blah, 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 blah. For example, just think about this for example. In California, we know where slavery was located. Okay? I mean, throughout all of our school years, we were taught that the majority of slavery was happening in the South. Some was happening north and the east. It was never mentioned that it was in the West. The reason why? Here we go. It's because California wasn't a part of the 13 colonies. So I would love to see, keep that in mind. Hold on, let me back up a little bit. California was not a part of the 13 colonies. The 13 British colonies, by the way, they weren't. California came in late. Now, what slavery are you referring to? What that's what I'm saying. Now, are you talking about as far as people that migrated to California, who had descendants that were in the north and the south or the east of the Americas? That's what I want to know, because California ain't have nothing to do. You see what I'm saying? That's why I'm like, I would love to see their research. They talking about something, they gathered research, they gathered evidence. Make it public. Get the people involved instead of pretending like you about to give these people some money based off of like 5 or 6 different people that come together on a Zoom call and nobody putting nothing up on screen. They just talking. I go back and I'm watching their videos and they literally just talking. I'm like, come on, ain't nobody putting nothing up? Do you have any records? Did you go to the Library of Congress one time? One time. Let me see what y'all talking about. Where's slavery in California? Unless you're referring to people that migrated to California, that were there, you know, that family members were affected. I'm talking about there was no direct slavery inside of California. And that's why I was like, no, this is a Democrat. What they doing right now is bumping this stuff up in order for people to vote Democrat again. And I'm like, come on, bro. Like, I hope my people don't fall for this. Because, once again, it looked good, but is it really good? Is it really good? It's almost too good to be true. And I want y'all to see that when the Wild Wild West is technically Texas, by the way. Technically, the Wild Wild West was referring to Texas. Keep that in mind. Not necessarily California. That was Texas. Even though Cali was in the West. But the Wild Wild West was referring to Texas. Yes. Yes. Them cowboys and Indians was in Texas. Okay? I mean, we had cowboys in other, you know, and like Oklahoma, like, I mean, Arkansas, Kansas. Like, yeah, they was all around. Alabama, they was in this, but I'm just saying the Wild Wild West was Texas. Like, yeah, Texas is Mexico, technically. Mexico. This how you look how they changing it. And look how long it took them to get Texas. And that's one of the biggest states, just like California. That's why you know they didn't have that type of stronghold in California at that time. We talking about way later, in order for them to get California, as far as saying that slavery happened in large numbers. And then on top of that, I wanted to tell y'all something about the proposal. I took a dab into, my wife and I took a dab into some of the records that they had published on, what is the name of that website? That the California Reparations Task Force did publish on, I'm trying to think of what it was. What was the name of that site? I should have had that pulled up. That's on me right there. I'm gonna come back to y'all with the site so I could pull it up. Just like how I got this one pulled up. But I want to show y'all that they have what they have is information that they gathered throughout the different states, not necessarily California directly. They're still referring to the technically what you would call the Midwest, and then the East and the North and the South. And that's how I was like, okay, so are you trying to do it for everybody even outside of California? Or are you literally doing it for California, period? Because the information that you're banking off of is coming outside of California. And I'm like, okay, all right, this is not, to me, it's not adding up. To me. Now, in this article, hold on, let me make sure I go to that part. There was another thing I wanted to point out that they stated. It said, hold on, last year, okay. Now, it says, last year, California became the first state to require that black state employees be allowed to specify that they are, quote, African American descendants of persons enslaved in the United States, end quote, on employee forms. On y'all screen is right here. Wait, can y'all see that? Y'all can see that, right? Yeah, I'm looking at the screen. Y'all can see that. Now, it says the law takes effect next year. The law that takes effect next year would allow self-identification by black immigrants from Africa and the Caribbean and require that statistics be published each year. So California is trying to make a distinction between everybody. But think about this for a second. They're not going to write themselves down as black immigrants. So what are you saying? You allowing them to self-identify. How come we can't self-identify? Look at that. Look at that. Listen. Did you catch it? They allowing them to self-identify, but why they are not allowing us to self-identify? See, keep in mind that they said that California became the first state to require that black state employees be allowed, this is what they're allowing, be allowed to specify that they are, quote, this is what they're giving them, African American descendants of persons enslaved in the United States. That's it. But black immigrants are allowed to self-identify. That's a big deal, y'all. That means that still they putting their foot on our necks and saying, nope, we want to label you what we want to label you. And here's the thing. They made it seem, the government, the Biden administration, like, okay, we'll tell you what type of black you want to be labeled. Straight up, because we still gonna label you black. That's exactly what they doing. They trying to figure out where you stand at. And I don't be surprised if they still use the word black in Indian. Don't be surprised. They'll probably label black Indian, black American Indian. They gonna try to keep the word black. They won't ever put us right there at white. And yeah, we could talk about the gaps and racial divide as far as economy and when it comes to job relations. We could talk about all of that. But I mean, yes, that's it's inequality happening across the board systematically. You think the government don't know that by now? How many times we got to bring up the statistics to explain it to them every single year? How many times? Like, they know it's a reality. They don't care. They know it's a reality. Don, I appreciate that donation. Thank you, Don. Thank you, Sister Kimberly, for your donation. I appreciate that. And Jay Williams, thank you for your donation. I appreciate that. Let me drop a bomb for y'all. So the White House, it says in this article, it says the White House Office of Management and Budget. Listen, listen. The White House's Office of Management and Budget, which is spearheading the racial category overhaul, declined to comment on the idea that people out there saying, trying to suggest terms like foundational Black American, American freedmen, and American descendants of slavery. So that's FBA, American freedmen, and ADOS. The White House Office of Management and Budget says it right here. Hold up. On this part right here, straight up saying They declined to comment on that idea. Keep in mind in this article that they're saying that the supporters of the change want additional questions should be a respondent selected Black or African American on a government form where they could indicate that their ancestors were slaves. Okay, so the proposed rule, in its proposed rule on those broader changes, the administration asked whether the terms, and they went through those terms, should be used to describe the group of people. And the White House Office of Management and Budget, which is spearheading the race category overhaul, declined to comment the idea. Here we go, y'all. No, so if they're spearheading the race category overhaul, what does that mean, y'all? Race category overhaul. We went through this before, didn't we? Didn't we? King Third in the building. R.L. Smith in the building. Jonathan in the building. Listen, y'all. What they doing is once again trying to slap us with another label that we did not agree to, and they don't care how you feel about it. Over and over and over and over and how many times we gonna go through this? How many times? Race category overhaul, clear as day. Do you see this? Clear as day. That's what they have interest in. They do not have interest in handing out reparations. They say, I tell you what, we gonna keep getting rid of your identity by reclassifying you and reclassifying you and relabeling you and relabeling you. And we gonna keep overhauling your classification. We the only ones going through this, y'all. Only ones. And you want reparations, and we fighting for this, and we fighting for that. It got to the point where people are so desperate that they want to be labeled abbreviations. Well, I'm ADOS. I'm FB. Abbreviations. It's that desperate now. And you begging the government and begging the government. I'm like, what are you doing? That's making us look foolish, and they just dangling us like we some puppets. They just dangling us in the air. How many times are we going to go through the same thing? Like you can't see it right in front of you? They dangling the idea of reparations right in front of you. And you, don't say nothing, y'all. If you against it, then you against reparations. If you say something about it, then you against reparations. I'm like, what? So you mean to tell me that you don't want me to tell you what's right in front of you? DJ Larry Loud, thank you for becoming a member. What makes you think that I'm going to sit back and not say nothing about this? And then they tried to hide it in the Wall Street Journal in an article that, keep in mind, it says right at the top. I want y'all to look into this, y'all. Right at the top, it says Washington. This part right here, can I highlight? Okay, it's not going to let me highlight that. But it's saying Wall Street Journal News exclusive. That means that if you go look this same article up right now, you probably not even going to get half of it. They going to make you pay for it. That's what that means. That's what that means. That means that they got this exclusively and said, tell you what, this is what we going to do. We're going to give them one article. It's not going to make the news. We just going to brush it over. Let's hurry up and get this out the way, y'all. We got votes to come in. Come on, black people. Come on, new black people. What they going to label us now? As if we have a choice. They gave us one option. Like, one. And our people are just sitting back, letting it happen, y'all. Just sitting back, letting it happen. And then they put the burden on you and say that you got to prove that your ancestors were enslaved. That you got to prove it. After they done told us that we came off of slave ships from Africa. Wait a minute. Y'all came up with this story. Y'all came up with this. You see what I'm saying? Venus Mays, thank you for becoming a member. LaShawn, thank you for that donation, sister. I appreciate that. Mr. Fontaine, thank you for the donation. I appreciate that. And this is what they doing to our people, and our people falling for. And this is the reason why you got people like me here to let y'all know that this is absurd. This is absurd. And constantly letting this continue is making our people, our progress, suffer. We pushing it back on the back burner to the point where it's now falling off the damn stove. Okay? We want our check. I mean, even Martin Luther King been saying,
we're coming to get our check.
Martin Luther King been saying that. Since Martin Luther King, we fighting for.
We're coming to get our check.
And if we ain't get our checks then, and we ain't get our check now, what's gonna change in 10 years, y'all? Are we gonna be in a better predicament? We gonna have our checks? Christina, thank you for the donation. I appreciate that. I just want y'all to understand that it's a big deal that the government is allowing. They know for a fact that there is so-called black immigrants that came. It says, once again, I'm quoting it. It says, whose families arrived more recently as immigrants from Africa. So hold up. Let's back up. More recently as immigrants from sub-Saharan Africa, the Caribbean, or other countries. But they know that. The reason why is because when they come over here, they got to document that, don't they? How else can they get an ID? How else can they get a driver's license? How can they get their green card? How can they get their nationality ID? Coming over here and you don't have no record of that. Uh-oh. You gonna lie and say you ain't got no record of that? Already? Just like you took everybody's blood when they were just born at the hospital to make sure they ain't got nothing. But yet you want people to take a DNA genealogy test to figure out who. A genealogy DNA test, blood test, to say, nah, y'all from Africa, right? But the government got the records. They know who actually came from Africa, the Caribbean islands, and the other countries. They know it. But they want to turn around and say, nah, if your ancestors were enslaved, put it on there. Put it on there. Say that your ancestors were enslaved. And as soon as they come up, if y'all, okay, in order to get this check, prove that your ancestors were enslaved. You know they not going to let that bypass. Come on, y'all. And I said this before. I said, look, they're going to make it a big deal that you got to prove that your ancestors were enslaved. And I told you how to do it. Notice how throughout this entire article, now, and I'm talking about any article, I'm talking about Google it. Google it. When they talking about reparations and they talking about your ancestors were enslaved, I will prove it. They don't tell you how. They don't tell you how to do that. Because they don't want you to know how to do that. Because that's some money they got to cough up if you do prove it. Not only money, it may be some land down that family line. That's what I really want you to do. Matter of fact, be motivated to check and see if and guaranteed, the majority of y'all watching right now, your ancestors had land. Had land. I'm gonna tell y'all that right now. And you should find out what happened. You should find out what happened. Because that land is worth more. Ooh, especially now. Look, the way land costing right now. I'm like, listen, you know, the Bruce family, I think they getting ready to sell that beach that they got, y'all. The Bruce family either already did it or getting ready to sell it back to LA County. I couldn't believe it. I was like, wait a minute, but for how much? It was something low. It was something low. I was like, what? What are you doing? What you got? That was worth 70 million, if I'm not mistaken. And they only getting back like, and they I think they were selling it for like 8 or 9 or something like that. I gotta pull that up. But I know they were getting ready to sell it last time I checked, and I was like, oh nah, man. Like what happened? Apparently the family must have been fighting over it. That's what it sounded like to me. That's what it sounded like to me. And they just said, forget it, let's just sell it, and we separate. I was like, that's messed up. But keep in mind, there's some people out there that may have already did that in your family as well. Sold the land without y'all worrying about it because they probably couldn't afford that land tax or that property tax. That could be high too. You know, it depends, because keep in mind, they will have to fix up that beach in order to make money. You know what I'm saying? And allow people to come in. In order for them to see some residuals off that land, they got to put money into it. And that's probably why. I'm not going to lie. That's probably why. It could have been multiple different things, but I'm no longer in contact, you know what I'm saying, to actually know what's up. So I don't know what happened. But I know for a fact, last time I checked, that was getting ready to be sold. People saying it was being sold or sold already. I can't confirm that, but people saying that right now, that they sold it back to LA County. Now that's messed up. I'm not gonna lie. That's huge. That's huge. So if your family did own land, and which their family did, by the way, and it was just sitting dormant, the county wasn't taking care of it. Nobody was. It was just sitting dormant. Things needed to get, it needed to be polished up. And that does cost some money. It does. You know, but look, I'm just saying, you fix that. You could do some things with some land now. I don't know their situation. Once again, I wasn't there when they did that part, so I don't know. Says it was under 20 mil. Wow. I mean, it was worth like 70, 75 million. Yeah, but they probably split that 20. They was probably arguing over it, whatever. I don't know. I know when I was, my ears was there, they were having issues too, you know what I'm saying, at that time. So, and I'm talking about family issues. I know that for a fact, but, you know what I'm saying, that's none of my business. I'm not in the family and none of that. But I'm going to tell you right now, that's low compared to how much that land was worth now. A whole beach resort. Yeah, that's low. That's super low. Sweet Life, thank you for becoming a member. Yeah, that's low. William Brown, I appreciate that. Oh, and Michael Terry, thank you for that right there to let me know what's going on. And I appreciate that donation too, brother. Dre, I appreciate that. Oh, they sold it for 20 mil. Okay, yeah. So if they sold it for, once again, that's super low. But it depends on your families. I know everybody's family is their situations are different. Like, I'm not saying that everybody got to be multi-millionaires to take care of the land that their family was. Like, say, for instance, you get it back. Like, your family was old land, and you get it back. That don't necessarily mean that you got to be a millionaire to take care of the land. It don't mean that. But depending on how much land that is, they may. Look at that was in California, number one. We know that their prices are sky high. Okay, with any form of property. So they was probably hitting heads on that thing in taxes. LA County was like, oh yeah, y'all can get the land back. Whoop! We won 30 million in taxes that same year. And I'm just saying, as an example, I over exaggerated, but that could have happened. That's probably what happened in most cases. You know what I'm saying? They, certain people can't afford them taxes and they want to get rid of it. They could have got threatened. Yeah, somebody just said that they could have been threatened. You know what I'm saying? Anything could have happened. Once again, my ear wasn't to them at that time to see what was going on. I did my part. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm not in control of the family. I'm not a part of the family. My people's had 2,100 acres. That is a lot of land in Virginia. In 1,600, woo, Yellowhammer, that's a lot. I'm gonna tell y'all right now, an acre is a lot of land. Like that's how it is right now. Look, I'm trying to tell you, an acre is a lot of land. At this particular point, you could be getting so much money back, but y'all need to check. It is okay. It's always good to check and see what happened to your family, regardless if they were enslaved, aka employed, regardless if they were landowners, sharecroppers, business owners, whatever. It's always good to find out what happened with your family on your own, regardless. Like, just say, for example, and and this is another reason why I was so glad that this was happening as far as California proposing, as far as like, they coming up with the thing, trying to get people hyped. But certain people thought it was just going to be a free ride and they were going to get some free money just based off of the status or the stories that they were told. What I was hoping people was going to do was actually go back and start researching their family members to verify if their family members actually went through what, slavery or anything. See what they went through to actually verify. And that paper trail does consist of time, but at least you can get it done to verify without you having to worry about a stranger telling you what to do. This is another reason why I put that book out. At first it was a PDF and too many people was requesting it. I made it a book to help you. It's basically instructions to basic stuff to get that stuff knocked out so you can have your stuff in front of you and do what you gonna do. But honey, I appreciate that. Thank you for becoming a member. You know what I'm saying? But it's up to y'all. I know certain times, certain family members don't get along with certain other people in your family. I know that happens, and that deters you away from trying to get certain things done. I remember when I used to help people personally on a one-on-one basis of doing, their genealogy. Sometimes it was great. Sometimes it was a freaking nightmare because certain people couldn't get along with certain members of their family members. But certain people in your family you may have to contact. You know what I'm saying? Like, it depends on the situation. You got to get last names, locations, date of birth, place of, you know what I'm saying? You got to get some information. You got to create your own leads. You becoming your family's researcher. Which I highly recommend anyway. Because think about it. If your family doesn't have a family portfolio right now, then who's going to pass down the story of your family to your next generations to come that's within your family? Them youngins that's coming up in your family, how they gonna know about your elder family members and their elder family members without you having that stuff documented, having pictures on deck? You know what I'm saying? I really highly suggest that you put a family portfolio together on your own. And y'all could take, you know what I'm saying? It could probably take about 2 or 3 of y'all. One person could do it. But, of course, it's always better to have more than one person doing it. And gradually take your time and take, it's no rush. There's no rush, you know what I'm saying? But at the same time, it will be a blessing for you all outside of receiving land and outside of receiving reparations possibly. It's a blessing for you to know what happened with your own family so that those stories could be passed down. That way, when your children, the next generations come up and go to school and they hollering about slavery this and slavery that child gonna stand up and be like, nah. My ancestors owned the land and hired the workers. You know what I'm saying? They could step up. Straight up, yeah, we was a part of such and such tribe. And we did this or we did that. They could start speaking up because you set that groundwork. That's going to pay off for generations to come inside of your family. I think that's very important. DNA tests don't do that. DNA tests give you numbers and a graph and tell you have a nice day. They don't come back with names, locations, dates, numbers to people you can contact. They just, once again, they're taking guesses, selective guesses. And people follow for, according to my DNA genealogy results, I'm 30% this and 50% that. Yet you wasn't there to be over the shoulder of the person that actually did the testing on your DNA data. You just assumed that they did it properly because of their credibility somehow that they gathered by buying ads. Some of them were already within the corporation that put out ads, Google, Alphabet Inc., Ancestry.com, they all together. So of course it was going to be easy to put that in front of you, AncestryDNA.com, you know, and they build up their biobanks with your data. I wonder why. What they looking for? Because they sending you a certificate in the mail like you just graduated from high school. And you running around town like, look, y'all, I got my certificate. Look, y'all, I got my certificate. I'm African. I'm this, I'm that. But I bet you can't take that same certificate and state that you related to anybody if you go to court. Because who are they saying that you related to? They not even going off a tribe. They going off a location. They not even going off a tribe. They going off a location and percentages of locations. Come on, bruh. And then when you take that same test again, how come it's not the exact same thing? You get different test results with the same testing company. If you do it more than once, they are not reliable. Anyway, if you want to be entertained, that's what you do. If you want to be entertained, that's what you do. If you want the real deal, you go with the records. You go with what's documented, not what somebody else is making up and you can't see what they doing. You can't watch what's going on. Calvin, I appreciate that donation, brother. Thank you, brother. Cassandria, thank you for becoming a member. Joshua, I see you. Thank you. Breeze, I appreciate that. Yeah, man, it's a game that they playing on our people, and a lot of people are falling for a lot of this old stuff that been happening. Like, first of all, DNA testing, as far as genealogy, as a matter of fact, in general, DNA testing ain't coming to the 1980s. In general, DNA testing ain't coming to the 1980s. So you saying between the 1980s and 2023, they have the type of technology to test your blood to see who you are related to by blood from people in another country of another continent? You are out of your mind. And then they don't tell you who them people are. You're flying blind. And they just took $990 to $300, $400, $500 from you. You gotta have it. That's another thing. Another reason why it's very important for you to get that paperwork. Because look at what they're doing right now. Straight up at the top of this thing. The government is considering asking Black Americans on federal forms, including the census, whether their ancestors were enslaved. So the government is putting it back on you, literally. That is at the top of this article. And if you don't know, then what? What you gonna put? Yeah, we was enslaved. And if they turn around and ask you, what you gonna say? Well, who was enslaved? When were they? Where were they? What year? What did they do? Who they work for? What time period? How much they get paid? Did they get paid? That's stuff that, I mean, come on, that's very important. Copper Red Wolf, I appreciate that. Thank you, Copper Red Wolf. TR, I see you. Let me drop a bomb for y'all. I appreciate that. TR, I appreciate that, brother. Man. Aljalani Manuel, I appreciate that. I hope I pronounced your name right, brother. I appreciate that. I hope I didn't mispronounce that. I probably did. Excuse me if I did. Man, but I want to take it back to a couple other things I wanted to bring up, because a lot of people, you know what a lot of people were saying? When they saying, well, no, our ancestors were slaves. And then certain people would come out and say, well, nah, we got slave masters' last names. Listen, and I'd be like, that's another thing that they told y'all. Now, I just went over how, the majority of the English language was basically, the majority of the English language was borrowed from our ancestors and our indigenous languages, due to Noah Webster coming out saying that he got it from 26 different languages that were spoken here in America exclusively. Okay? So yes, that's why I'm telling you that English is ours, technically, because that's where they got it from. Us. That's why I'm telling you that. I'm not telling you that English is an indigenous language. That's not what I'm telling you. I'm telling you that they got it from our indigenous languages. There's certain people out there just trying to twist up the narrative to try to make me look bad when they can't get their numbers up. That's not my fault. I'm out here putting out real research, and it's a real reason why I'm doing that. Because people want to learn. People want to know the truth. Okay? I'm not out here looking for clout. I'm not doing that. That's not what this is about. This is about helping my people. They got to know the truth. Because who else is going to tell them where it's at and what it's about? Sister Imagine That, I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Thank you for becoming a member. Sour D's, thank you. I'm going to drop a bomb. I appreciate that. So a lot of people will fall back on that last name thing, and this is what we're going to get into. Because think about that. Like what I just told you as far as like the last live stream. Notice, y'all, I went live 4 times this month. 4. That's a record. You know how I felt?
So how did that just feel? Felt great. Poetic justice.
It felt great. When I woke up today, okay, now I'm going to play it.
So at what point did you know you just had it and you had to keep going?
When I woke up.
This morning, what'd you think?
Let's get it.
Let's get it. 4 times this month. That's a record for me. I don't be going live like that. But it's so many things that I got to show you because people out there twisting the narrative and trying to control the narrative, and they still getting it wrong. They swear they doing it, but they not. All they doing is talking when I'm putting it on screen. So what I showed you in the last live stream, just to brush up on, hold on, before I play, hold on, I'm getting ready to take this article down and play that video that I'm talking about. But before I play that, I want to let y'all know in the last live stream, if you didn't get a chance to see it, that's when I was breaking down what I just talked about as far as the English language is concerned. All the way down to, with Noah Webster, the person that actually started the dictionary and creating those definitions, having different meanings with shorter names. I mean, with shorter words that they could utilize that could mean something major. But anyway, if you didn't see it, I would love for you to go back on that live stream to take a look at it. Everything is broken down. Things are on screen for you to learn and know what my sources are, where I got the information from. Because, of course, they're not going to promote that, but I'm getting it directly from main primary sources. And this next one, okay, this is something that we got to get into, because if you think about it, when they talking about, hey, you got to fill out these forms, okay, and you got to state whether if your ancestors were enslaved or not, a lot of our people will fall right back onto the, well, we were enslaved because we got a slave master's last name. My last name is this. Irish and blah, 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 blah. They start picking out stuff, but they don't know that, once again, if our names, not only our names and our names, indigenous languages, and all that stuff was being twisted and turned and mashed up together to create the English language, what makes you think that we got their last names? Especially if they weren't speaking English. To begin with, that's another thing. If you go back on my live stream, a lot of people are saying that that came from England. And we already went over the Anglo-Saxons, Anglo-Normans, last live stream. That ain't got nothing to do with their language. Once again, I'm going to drop another bomb. I appreciate that. Bellioso, I appreciate that. Thank you for gifting the memberships. Anybody that does the gifting, that means that you could become a member because somebody did it for you. I appreciate that. Thank you, brother. I appreciate that. And Dewar999, thank you for becoming a member. And Bobby Jefferson, thank you for becoming a member. And G Postal, thank you for being, oh, okay, you did gifted as well. Thank you, brother. I appreciate that. And Omar Yasin, thank you for becoming a member. I appreciate that. Thank y'all, man. That's love right there.
It's up.
So what I have right now set, I'm about to bring this one down so y'all can see what I'm talking about. Hold on. Let me change this up real quick. And then we're going to go over this. Hold on. I guess I could play the whole thing. Now, let me play the whole thing.
The Negro still is not free. The life of the Negro is still sadly crippled by the manacles of segregation and the chains of discrimination. The Negro still is not free. The Negro lives on a lonely island of poverty in the midst of a vast ocean of material prosperity. The Negro still is not free. The Negro is still languished in the corners of American society and finds himself in exile in his own land. The Negro still is not free. America has given the Negro people a bad check, a check which has come back marked insufficient funds. The Negro still is not free. The Negro still is not free. The Negro still is not free. Those who hope that the Negro needed to blow off steam and will now be content will have a rude awakening if the nation returns to business as usual.
And you know what's crazy? Hold up. The nation did return to business as usual. That's why they got rid of him. So they can return to business as usual. Oh, let me skip up because I think my intro come after that. Yeah. But
Free thinkers and spiritual warriors. Today, let's begin this segment with asking some very essential questions pertaining to this topic at hand. First, did the origins of the said last names, or rather surnames, of so-called slaves in America derive from some form of European ancestry? And if you answered yes, then what hard evidence exists today that not only supports this heavily campaigned theory, but can also confirm that it is in fact the truth indefinitely? Now, I understand that some of you would normally consider traditional information given to you to be a fact, without noticing that you just inadvertently allowed someone's opinion to be considered valuable as a source of creditable information in your opinion. However, a person's opinion does not mean, nor should it be automatically constituted as the truth, especially when it lacks publicly verifiable evidence to prove it. I mean, think about it. Could it be possible that certain pieces of verifiable evidence that many people are looking for today, much of it has been rewritten, altered, photoshopped, hidden, or even altogether misconstrued?
Absolutely.
Like, for example, things that were said to have been done on a particular date have been changed to reflect as other dates, allegedly due to the insertion of the Gregorian calendar. I mean, even words that you may recall its meaning today have literally changed in definition and in spelling several times over, along with the names of particular people and said locations.
Oh, yeah.
And even what was originally...
where Amani at? Confessions of Nat Turner? Nat Turner? But this is Frederick Douglass. But, I mean, you know, I heard they tried to fix it up on Google already. But that's how it was on Google. They were giving you pictures of Nat Turner for Frederick Douglass. Actually, it was vice versa. They were giving you pictures of Frederick Douglass for Nat Turner. I'm just saying. We're going to keep it moving.
Deemed as a prediction is now somehow considered a historical fact by various so-called professionals. So, finding the truth would be very complex, especially when an individual limits themselves to thinking inside of the box versus allowing themselves to experience a physical freedom in which you would not need to be deceased in order to qualify to reap its many benevolent benefits. As Western European entities established what we know now as American history, they also created a tale informing us as Americans that the use of last names, or rather surnames, derived from, quote, the need to find ways to differentiate between two people who shared the same first name, end quote. Which seems harmless at first and quite obvious, of course, if you're not conducting an investigation into the reason why the National Endowment for the Humanities, established on September 29, 1965, goes on to state, quote, because the British were among the first Europeans to settle in North America, many modern American surnames can be traced back to medieval England, Scotland, Ireland, and Wales, end quote. Now, this statement forces the reader to believe that since foreigners of European descent immigrated to North America some 240 years ago, that they somehow influenced millions of people already residing in North America prior to their arrival to take on European surnames over the years, without telling you exactly how it was pulled off.
Now think about that. They didn't tell you how that was done. That's a major concern. If they didn't tell you how it was done, then how did they do it? You are filling in the blank by stating that your family was enslaved. You don't know if they were enslaved. And then you say, since your family was enslaved, they adopted the slave master's last name. Again, you're believing something unproven. You did not prove that. That's number one. Number two, you did not research your family to find out exactly what happened. Number three, most of the slaves, aka employees, I'm gonna say this again. Most of the slaves, aka employees, made up their own name. Now think about it. If they had a particular identity at one point, say for example, they didn't get along with their slave master, allegedly their employer. Once they received their papers of manumission, they could be whoever they want to be. They could change their name to whatever they want to change it to. Uh-oh. Am I going too fast? They could do whatever they want to do. Well, why don't I make up a last name that will promote me so I can be hired by another employer, so my great attribute that I have could be out in the forefront? My name is Dane Calloway. I'm one call away if you need me. Woo! Hold on, kid. Hold on. I'm gonna keep going. I'm gonna just keep going.
Which should make you ask the question, if the so-called Negro slaves of America, who were realistically undervalued agricultural employees, were treated as less of a human being and more like human cargo for sale, then what would make the said owner or employer want to attach their so-called European surname to that individual when it was not federally mandated to do so?
That's another thing. It wasn't federally mandated in order for them to, if they didn't like their slaves and they treated them like bull, why would they want to slap their last name? Well, Dane, so they can say that was their property. Okay, let's just say that that's true for, certain situations. They wanted to put their last name on their property, right? Once they were once they were finish, once their contract is up, okay, what if their so-called slave master died? Listen, I mean, I'm just saying there's so many scenarios popping up in my head. I'm trying to calm down so I can get out my thought. Okay, what if the slave master died? What if they killed their slave master? What if they ran away from their slave master? What if so many different scenarios happen, right? But you didn't think about, what if they wanted your last name so they could have your property? You didn't think about that, did you? What if they wanted your last name so they could have your property? So they could make pretend like they were a part of your... Once again, in the beginning, it says that last names are there set so they could differentiate between people that carry the same first name. So wait a minute. So if a person sharing the last name Calloway, that don't necessarily mean we related though, right? It doesn't necessarily mean we are part of the same bloodline, okay? So that just means that, okay, I chose that one because of what, I'm going too far. But as far as because I'm getting ready, the reason why I said I'm going too far is because I'm not trying to give away this video if you didn't see it. But you about to see what I'm talking about. So, okay, I just want you to put this in your head. If you had a first and a last name, who gave it to you? When you came off of a boat from Africa? Because what we can see, and remember I gave y'all this example on Godfather 3. Was it Godfather 3? I believe it was Godfather 3 when Corleone got his last name based off of the location that he came from, that his parent sent him from. And they said, all right, Michael Corleone. Okay? They assigned that last name to him. As far as him coming over here off of a boat, wait a minute. As far as him coming over here off of a boat as a young kid, they assigned him a last name. Oh, man, that sounds familiar. So, do they have record that people assigned us our last names? That's going to be hard to find, ain't it? Because it doesn't exist. But what we can see is that the people came over here and started adopting last names that were given to them. Well, don't forget that Martin Luther King said that by act of Congress, the government was giving away millions of acres of land in the West and the Midwest, which meant that it was willing to undergird its white peasants from Europe with an economic floor. So, if they were helping them in order for them to come up, and they were stealing land from our ancestors, how did they get in possession of that land for free? Listen, for free, just by coming over here and the government helping them out as Europeans. They took the last name. They took the last name of those that had property, that had land. They said, yeah. All right, you got this now. You got this now. Don't forget, certain things was already documented as far as land ownership, business ownership. That stuff was documented. This is the reason why I'm telling you to go back and check and see if your ancestors own land. They're going to tell you that records stop at a certain time period. If it did, then they wouldn't be able to tell you that your ancestors came off of a slave ship in 1619. So they lying. So there is a way for you to find out. But anyway, they just trying to hand over your rights. Somebody just said it. They stealing birthrights. Look. They just trying to hand over your rights to somebody else. And that's exactly what happened. That's exactly what I've been teaching my entire channel. But I did jump a little too far. Let's continue.
Now, there are theories floating around stating that the slave masters marked their human properties by using their surname upon them.
However, if that was actually true, then the surname Underwood, for example, would somehow have a European background, right? But the truth is, it does not. And that also means that every surname in America does not have a European background. But let's go a little bit deeper now, shall we? According to the National Endowment for Humanities Society, quote, during the Middle Ages, the feudal system meant that most people in Europe lived in small farming villages. As the population expanded and the towns grew, however, a need arose to find ways to differentiate between two people who shared the same first name. End quote. Now, I can agree with this statement, and I can also add that the so-called feudal system realistically occurred everywhere human life existed. I mean, everyone's population grew, right?
Right.
So you can't tell me that since Europe's population grew, that they somehow were the first to create surnames without confirming evidence that surnames or the use of surnames never existed anywhere else before. That's just critical thinking. Now, throughout my years of investigative research, I noticed a common pattern that authors of American history loves to use. There are tons of storytelling in American history, but with very little evidence to support and prove that the said stories are in fact true in most cases. So when was the first last
Hold up.
little evidence pattern that authors of American history loves to use? There are tons of storytelling.
Write this down. Sometimes I throw in Easter eggs. I know y'all know that. I need to bring that back. I said I was going to bring that back. Just look at what I put up. Juvenile American history.
In American history,
schools.
but with very little evidence to support and prove that the said
1867
stories are in fact true. In
like if you're a book reader, get that. Okay,
most
please.
cases. So when was the first last name or surname ever used in history? Now, the answer to this question is so complex that there is no definitive answer. However, some of you who agrees with sociology with an added mixture of mythology would immediately give the credit of surnames to the Chinese, strictly based on yet another story. As the myth, legend, or folktale goes, the Chinese have been using surnames since 2800 BC by way of royal order from the reigning Chinese emperor of their time named Fuxi. It was said that Fuxi created and mandated a naming system in order to control census taking and census information. But since this story, along with the Emperor Fuxi story, is a myth, there is no hard evidence to support this claim or theory in this sense. The reason why it is so complex to track down and determine beyond a reasonable doubt where these last names, family names, or surnames originated from is because of the various types of surnames used all across the world. It would strictly depend on the individual and where they come from. Due to multiple practices of the use of surnames varies from culture to culture. This means that it will be impossible to determine that you bear a quote European surname, because the practice of having a first name and a middle name and a last name as a mandatory rule realistically has no significant evidence to support where and when exactly it originated.
And that's very important, okay? Because they're making it seem as if surnames rather originated with Europeans. But keep in mind, Europeans weren't the only ones traveling over here. Don't forget that too. That's very important. They weren't the only ones. And when they did come, they came in small groups. Small. Because you can't fit that many people on a steamboat or a cargo ship when they came later. And keep in mind, that was in the 1850s. When cargo ships came in the 1850s, late 1850s to be exact, they weren't commercially used until later on. That's another thing. So they trying to make it seem as if this is a big deal. It was a big impact on our millions of our people when they were still trying to get over here. And it wasn't in large numbers. And here's the thing, they still didn't prove to this day their original number, which I made them change. They said 12.5 million enslaved Africans came to the Americas, meaning North, Central, and South. How? What they gave you was the term slave ship. And I told you that the term slave ship never existed in a dictionary. And I said, I gave you a date. Man, I forgot the date now at when it stopped popping up. But I told you that they compiled two names together, slave and ship. That was an older video of mine. I guess I'll bring that up at another time. But what they're referring to are cargo ships. That's what they're referring to. And again, in the top of the 1850s, it was only 3 cargo ships used by those who were able to afford them. Don't forget that everything ain't free. Stuff is going to cost. Before the paperbacks, before the promissory notes, before the greenbacks, they used coins as the currency. Prior to that, the bartering system. I'm telling you, y'all. So if they put together a cargo ship in the 1850s and only 3 people were able to afford, I already got this out. I forgot the name of the video. I could bring it up at another time. But only 3 people were able to afford those main cargo ships that were not commercially utilized, by the way. How long did it take for them to gather up the funds in order to create cargo ships commercially? And how were they able to direct those boats or whatever, cargo ships to the correct routes without being lost at sea? No GPS, none of that. They were not informed of which routes to take. So to be on the safe side, they did not know that they could, you can't literally cross the Atlantic and go to, no, you can't do that. Can't do it. I already proved it. The Oceangias, the Gyres, you can't do it. They are there. They will warp you in there and you'll be lost at sea. And they're all over the place, especially with any large amount of water. I showed you the map. So they had to stay along the coast. Like right now, when you go on a cruise ship, you won't ever catch them out in the middle of that water here. Ever. They are always close to the coast. Always. So you know the cargo ships are doing the same thing. So, and that's still to this day, by the way. Still to this day. You know, you can actually, I don't know if y'all know this. If you want to say, for example, if you want to go to Europe right now, you don't have to go by plane. You can actually book a trip on a cargo ship right now. And it will take, and they do it you got to book it, I think it's every 3 months, because it takes them 45 days to get there and 45 days to get back. Wait a minute, let me say it like this. Between 30 to 45 days to get there and between 30 to 45 days to get back. So you can only do it in 3-month increments where you could book these trips to utilize cargo ships to get in these areas. Yes, sometimes it could take 3 months depending on where you're going. I'm just giving you bare minimum. But you could look this up right now. You can actually book a cargo ship to go in Africa, Europe, you name it. That's right now. And they are limited right now still. They have to follow by the coast. It takes them too long to get to a destination. And they are limited today. So just imagine back then how they had to travel. And then they just started doing that in the 1850s by cargo ships. And oh my God, the steamboats, right before the cargo ships, the steamboats took forever. Forever. That's like having, okay, a steamboat moved like, okay, say for example, it was the size of a cargo ship, right? But it was like about 5 to 7 people out there pedaling at a time. That's how fast a steamboat was going. They were slow pace. But anyway, so you know for a fact that that is not realistic coming from Europeans. They did not have that type of stronghold where we were forced to take their last name. I'm gonna keep going.
Even the Indians of all of the Americas, for example, bear 2 to 5 names as an individual's full name.
That's another
without
thing.
orchestrating it in a commonly known first name, middle name, and last name format, or so we think. Mind you, there are 4 common categories of surnames that were used throughout the history of North America and many other parts of the world as well.
Oh man, that's the Easter egg. I meant to do this.
Format, or so we think.
Hey, Hun, I know you watch it. Remind me to do this.
Mind you, there are 4 common categories of surnames that were used throughout the history of North America and many other.
Oldest black community in the United States. I'm not going to get into that. That's a totally different topic. But I'm going to come back to that. Baby, please remind me. I know you watch it. Please remind me to do this.
Parts of the world as well. There are locative surnames, patronymic surnames, occupational surnames, and nickname surnames. To break each of them down, a locative surname identifies an individual based upon where he or she was born, raised, lived, worked, or the land they own, which makes this surname not qualified for consideration of being of European origin.
Hold up. Damn, I went fast. Hold on, let me go back because this, y'all, please, this is so important. Hold on, y'all. Please pay attention to this.
Surnames. To break each of them down, a locative surname identifies an individual based upon where he or she was born, raised, lived, worked, or the land they own.
Now, so for example, that means that Michael Corleone, when he was forced to migrate over here because they was killing off his family, he was assigned a locative surname based upon where he or she was born, raised, lived, worked. That's just an example. He didn't work there, but that's where he was born and raised and lived. I'm just saying.
Which makes this surname not qualified for consideration of being of European origin.
Not at all.
For example, Charles Darwin was probably a descendant of a family that previously lived in the market town called Darwin, which is located in Lancashire, England. Or let's take the actor Lawrence Fishburne, for example, in which the surname Fishburne could indicate that Lawrence's ancestors worked as cooks that specializes in seafood cuisine, or just simply frying fish.
Woo!
So at what point did you know you just had it and you had to keep going?
When I woke up.
This morning, what'd you think?
Let's get it.
Relax and take notes. Take notes.
All right.
Another example of a locative surname could also be referring to a particular geographical identifier, in which most cases is self-explanatory. Like, for example, the actor Blair Underwood, in which the surname Underwood could be an indicator that refers to a family who resides near or throughout the woods. Or it could also mean that his ancestors owned acres of lands, particularly within the woods. No European origin yet. Now, a patronymic surname identifies an individual as their father's child or their father's children.
This is about to get a lot of people in the chat.
However, it is very important to note that this surname does not translate to a fixed.
I can't lie, y'all. They was a beautiful family, man. That's all topic, but I'm just saying, that just pissed me off looking at this picture. Okay, all right.
Their father's child or their father's children. However, it is very important to note that this surname does not translate to a fixed family surname, in which this also means that it does not qualify to be considered as a surname of any European origin. Like, for example, take pro NFL running back Adrian Peterson. The surname Peterson could indicate that Adrian is the son of Peter, which would equate to being Adrian, Peter's son. Or in some cases, it will read as Peter's son, Adrian. Or in modern times, Adrian Peterson, by dropping one letter S.
Woo, okay. Yeah. Now, you can't tell me that it's a lot. It's John's son. I saw y'all in the chat. Who else I see in there? I saw a lot. Okay, Wilson. Yeah, Johnson. Y'all, I know y'all in the chat right now. Don't let them tell y'all that came. Yeah, Jefferson. There y'all go. I see you, Bobby. Williamson, Anderson, Jackson, Watson, Hamilton. Hey, come on. Hey, look. Donaldson, Henderson, Robertson. Look. Thompson. Come on. But they said that's European.
Other examples of patronymic surnames would be Jackson, Williamson, Richardson, Robinson, Wilson, Jefferson, Johnson, Woodson, or any other said surname ending with the suffix son.
All right, so I'm going to drop a bomb for all of y'all right now.
Set it on fire. Fire.
It's up.
Woo! Yo, all right.
In most cases, you would discover that the vowels of the said letters would change as well, like the surname Steelman would later be spelled as Steelman, with two-letter E's in the word steel, and the letter A replaces the letter E.
I get so excited when I hear this because some of my people fell for the bull. And my goodness, Steelman, what you think you was doing? What you was thinking? You was working steel. You was building a railroad when I hear Steelman. You was working on the railroad. That's what I hear. Man, I get so excited, y'all. Oh, man. Oh, they lied. These niggas lied so hard, bruh. All right, I'm sorry. We gonna keep going.
In the word man, but it keeps its original pronunciation. Still not finding any European origin yet.
None.
So now, occupational or status surnames identifies an individual based upon their social status or their occupations. Some of you can recall noticing many occupational surnames throughout multiple different languages, almost as if it was a common practice for many countries across the world over the years. This also means that these types of surnames do not originate from just one large landmass to another. However, it does indicate that some cultures of particular countries shared some similarities, but that does not mean that one copied the other or one started that tradition before the other. No. Haven't you ever heard the saying, great minds think alike? Now, don't get me wrong here. There are tons of traditional methods of particular people's cultures, languages, identities, and more that were either copied, adopted, erased, or even stolen for that matter. But that's not the point here. The point is, when you are researching your family's genealogy by records, that does in fact exist. In most cases, you will discover that you do not have any form of European ancestry, as long as you are referring to actual physical historical genealogy records of your family and not some mysterious genealogy DNA ancestry test that disclaims that it is just for entertainment purposes only.
Hello?
Let's take the name James Farmer, for example, as an occupational surname.
Where the farmers
This would
at?
indicate that he is the James of the farmers, or he could just simply be a farmer named James.
That's right.
Other examples would be Smith, Butler, Wheeler, Booker, Turner, Cooker, Taylor, or Baker, just to name a few.
Woo!
And logically speaking,
and look, this before you even get to the records. This would get me so excited. This before you even get to the records to verify. Woo! You get it all right there, just off the last name. Oh man, y'all, this so important. This is so important. I can't stress this enough, man.
So how did that just feel? Feel great. Poetic justice.
Okay. All right.
This would indicate that he is the James of the farmers, or he could just simply be a farmer named James. Other examples would be Smith, Butler, Wheeler, Booker, Turner, Cooker, Taylor, or Baker, just to name a few. And logically speaking, you cannot determine that their origins are from some random place in Europe without first determining what common language was used in order for foreigners to communicate with our ancestors here in the Americas upon their arrival.
Which should make you ask, oh man, I get so excited, y'all. Listen to oh my God.
Language was used
you
in
can't
order
even
for
determine the language coming over here. They were speaking the form of broken English, remember? They didn't know how to farm. We had to teach them that. They didn't know how to survive out here. We had to teach them that. We did. Why you think we owed everything? Man, these foreigners wouldn't survive without us, goddammit. They wouldn't have survived. If it wasn't for us, they would not have survived. And you think we would adopt their last names? Look at these peasants. Look at them. What makes them greater than us? Nothing. Nothing. I'm charged up now. I'm charged up now. I am. I'm just, let it click. Let it click. Let it sink in. Let it sink in. They did not have nothing coming over here. We helped them. We. Nobody else. Us. The indigenous ones. The Niji. My fellow people. The only thing they brought was religion over here. That's it. They still writing off our cultures, our traditions, even our language right now. Don't forget. The last live stream I just showed you that Noah Webster Jr. told you that he took 26 different indigenous languages to make English. Dictionary. That was the trade language. That means that they didn't know our indigenous tongue. So they were speaking a form of broken English. They didn't know how to communicate with us. Not correctly, not up to par. Spitting out words here and there. They couldn't communicate with us. Just getting over here from a different country, of another continent. Them trade languages helped them. Helped them. Pidgin language. We helped them. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. None. And don't let nobody tell you any different. Those foreigners would not have survived if it wasn't for us helping them out. They would have died just like their ancestors did coming over here. They didn't stick like glue until the mid 1800s. I'm talking about everybody before that died. Everybody. Just coming over here, and they just, look, the one reason why is because they couldn't speak the language to survive. They couldn't check in with my ancestors, say, Chief Calloway, how can I grow corn? As an example. Some of our ancestors adopted them children. That's why they continuously brought their children, because the adults were not surviving. I told y'all that and showed you. Went to Virginia and showed you. They know. The Department of Historical Resources in Virginia, they know. Don't forget, I also showed you the map that all of this territory was called Virginia. From the north to the south, before they started separating it in different state names. All of it was Virginia. So you know the Department of Historical Resources in Virginia gonna have a whole lot of records for each state. That's why when I did my traveling and put stuff on screen, I showed you Virginia first. Not just because I was close to it coming from DC. Virginia was the key. Now I'm trying to figure out why they named all this side Virginia, right? But whole time they ain't want you to see that they was coming in to Boston, Massachusetts. The Plymouth colony. Plymouth, Massachusetts. Now known as Boston, Massachusetts. That's where they started coming in from in 1614. And they were dying. They couldn't stay up. Left and right. They could not take care of themselves. In a brand new continent to them. They could not. They didn't know what to do. And especially if they couldn't speak any trade language. They could not survive. So they sent their children. So some of our people could feel sorry and adopt them in and say, okay, we're going to take care of them. See there? But we got our last names from them. Are you out of your mind? And you gonna let them tell you that? You ain't verify a thing. You just let it go. Just let it go. Coach, man, I appreciate that piece. I appreciate that, man. Y'all gotta know that, yes, if we foundationally built America, which is true, that means everything else was ours too. And they know that. That's why they're being nosy. To go back to what I was saying earlier, they want to see how much you know. They want to see what you have. They want you to prove that your ancestors were enslaved after they done gave you that story. They said, you want reparations? Was your family enslaved? We ain't gonna worry about that. Well, what we gonna do is reclassify y'all again so you won't ever find out, pushing you further and further and further away from the truth. That was Obama that made it law, that where he got rid of the term Negro and Oriental. Simultaneously, the term Negro and Oriental, he got rid of that. That once again put more records, that buried more records. Make it even harder for people to find out what happened. Because they constantly changed our classification. Constantly changed our identity to push it further away. So a lot of our people have no idea that they carrying a last name that their ancestors created. Literally. And they must have had something for them foreigners to come over here and adopt those last names. That was very important to them. All right, we gonna keep going.
Not determine that their origins are from some random place in Europe without first determining what common language was used in order for foreigners to communicate with our ancestors here in the Americas upon their arrival. Which should make you ask the question, was there ever a common language to begin with?
See, we went over that.
How did foreigners communicate with other foreigners without a translator?
Woo!
How did ship owners in America allegedly sail all the way to West Africa in hopes of purchasing human cargo without some form of common language to use to communicate with?
See there?
Now, a nickname surname identifies an individual based upon commonly known attributes or adjectives that would best describe that person in some way. It could be based upon personal characteristics, shape, size, color of hair, skin complexion, or even for some derogatory motives an individual may have for another individual.
Hold on. Wait a minute, y'all. We always come up with a nickname for our people to a point where most rappers and singers got nicknames, right? But now they're classifying them as stage names. But Lil Tay-Tay and them, you can't call that a stage name. We come up with nicknames fast. Heartbeat. And it could be in relation to their personal characteristics, shape, size, color, hair, skin complexion. I'm talking about all the time. This is constant. We ain't need no European to do that for us. We do that on a regular basis. Right now. Right now. That's not European influence. We give people nicknames so we won't even have to pronounce their whole name. Right now. Let's be real. Come on, man. Here we go.
A group of people, for that matter. Contrary to popular belief, nicknames have been around for many generations throughout thousands of different cultures across the world. So we can immediately rule out this type of surname with having some origins in Europe easily. There are various types of nicknames used throughout history. Like, for example, nearly all religious institutions calls for its members to bear a formal nickname traditionally. Like a traditional Christian nickname can be identified often by two given nicknames, or rather four names, instead of one at the time of baptism, like Mary Ann or Anne Mary, for example. The actor Morgan Freeman also bears a religious nickname surname as well, due to the many so-called black people who refused to change their surnames before and even after the Emancipation Proclamation was established. When you are conducting genealogy research on your families, meaning a paper trail, you will soon discover that many of our ancestors did in fact use their own created surname that was royally different from the surname that was allegedly given to them by their employers at the time of signing their indentures, or rather labor contracts. Now,
this indenture, never mind. Now, if you don't think indentures exist, here go an example. I'm gonna keep going.
Known as applications of employment. Our ancestors manifested independence and freedom by rejecting foreign surnames to be a part of their family's lineage.
That's right.
Especially at the time of the Emancipation Proclamation. Keep in mind that many of the surnames of our ancestors had to be written into a record. This changes everything that you were ever told of when it comes to so-called American descendants of slavery. This is why it is very essential to check the records of your family's genealogy before you go out and state to the public that your family bears a European surname, when you have absolutely no idea that you could be inadvertently disrespecting your very own people that fought for your freedom and to build this country.
That's right. That fought for your own freedom and to build this country. You disrespecting them. You disrespecting them, and they put in the work here, the work, and you telling them that they got it from some European? Them peons? Them peasants, as Martin Luther King said? Man, look. I'm just saying, y'all. It's time, because we allowing them to dictate who we are. We never gave them a right to say, hold on, I'm about to pull that up, where it says, to go back to this, we never gave them the right to say that we are African American descendants of persons enslaved in the United States. We never gave them that right. And they said that they will be allowed to specify. But the immigrants are allowed to self-identify. That's a big deal. But then they turn around and ask you, right in the beginning, straight up, they are considering asking Black Americans. So it's not even in effect right now. The U.S. government is considering asking Black Americans on federal forms, including the census, whether their ancestors were enslaved. Now, the U.S. government know goddamn well that they playing games. They playing games. And I'm talking about brushing the conversation of reparations off to the side. And they had, I'm talking about millions to billions of dollars they handing out to foreigners every year. Every year. And they get labeled white when they come over here. But us, here they go again, getting ready to overhaul, where that joint at? Hold up. Getting ready to overhaul the race category again. Here they go again. They not worried about handing you reparations. They worried about reclassifying you again. This gotta stop. This is it. We cannot allow this no more at all. We cannot allow them to change who we are again. We have to step up and state who we are. We are not Black. We are not African. We are not Negro. They handed us all of this. An Indian, Negro, colored, Black, African American. They did that. We didn't come up with that. We never had a meeting on what we should be identified as. Ever. And since they doing it now, look at the ones they doing. American descendant of slavery. American freedman. Foundational Black American. Now, listen. Ain't nobody else got that type of title. Nobody. Or identification, rather. It's just simply white and whatever country they came from. That's it. Now, since everybody don't want to be classified as Americans, they want to differentiate what type of Americans are Americans. This is them doing that. So if they really want to play the game of separation, why don't we separate from them altogether? This is me. I'm just saying, you don't have to agree with that. But my thing is, if they want to play the game of separation so bad, why don't we play it? Why don't we play it? Self-identify, 1. 2, do everything on our own, top, bottom, our own government, our own business, our own military, our own areas within America, not in the inner cities, everywhere, in every state. As a matter of fact, we should be able to create our own states in which we can name and have our own hospitals, our own schools. You understand what I'm saying? Have everything on our own, independently from this government. Because they are not working in our favor, and they have never been. Ever. Look at the two options you get. Two heads of the same snake. The biggest gangsters in the world are the Democrats and Republicans. And they want to lock up Trump. Ooh, that's a totally different topic. They want to lock him up, though. But remember what Trump said. Trump said, they not after me, they after you. I'm just in the way. So they know for a fact that Trump will win the election, but he can't win the election if they lock him up, because he will not be qualified to run for president right now. And Trump was the only one that straight up said that he will listen and get something done for our people. He came out his mouth and said that we built this country. He was the only president that said that. Only one. And I'm not for Democrat nor Republican. I'm straight up like, hold up. He talking. And that was as he was president. That wasn't even his presidential run. That's why I was like, hold up. See, that, look at the bigger picture. And now they attacking him so he won't go and become president. And once again, I'm not for any of that Democrat or Republican stuff. But at the same time, if Trump had his way, I'm talking about had everything on lock and had all Republicans in the House and the Senate, we probably would have had a lot of stuff done for us by now. Oh, Dominion, thank you. Whoa, hey, big donation. How y'all let me miss that? Dominion, I appreciate that. Thank you, brother. That's major right there. That's love right there. I'm gonna drop 2 bombs. I appreciate that, brother. Man, that's love. Earl Wheeler, I appreciate that. Tomahawks flying. Absolutely. Absolutely. Look, once again, I was looking at I look at all presidents with a side eye. I don't trust nobody in that politician game. But I can only say that Trump was the only one. He was the only one that I heard talk different from everybody else, y'all. And I'm like, look at what they doing to him now. I said, okay, well, see, we don't gotta wait. And it's another thing. We don't gotta wait for somebody like that to get in office. We could do this on our own again. I'm gonna keep saying that. We could vote our own. We could make our own government, make our own little branches of our government, elect our own government. Officials. We could do it. We could do it. We don't got to depend on them. They foreigners anyway. We don't got to. For what? We can create our own rules and regulations right now. We don't got to listen to this. They want to turn it into a digital currency. Okay. We could, if they could create their own currency, so can we. So can we. I told y'all Saudi Arabia was going to leave. Look what happened. Saudi Arabia left. All them places in Africa left. Oh, they flipping. They like, the prime minister over there in, what was that? Was that South Africa? Was like, straight up told his folks, hey, y'all got about a week. This is on video. He said, y'all got about a week because we ain't dealing with that dollar bill no more. It's over. It's over. Now, what I'm saying is if you think like that, click the link in the description of this video, or one of my trusty moderators will place it inside of there in the chat. Click the link to join the 13% community server. It's free. All I want to do is have all like-minded people get together and we could make moves behind the scenes without putting our plans out in the open. That's all I ask for. Because there's so much going on in the world and all we got is us. Because those people ain't doing nothing for them people and those other countries of other continents thinking for themselves, doing for themselves. We don't have to sit back and wait and see what this government is going to do when everything is crashing and burning. Okay, what we going to do? Wait for the smoke to clear? Be like, oh, the coast is clear, y'all. We could come out now. Nah, we could come out now. If they losing their currency, they losing their stronghold, y'all. Like, their time is up, y'all. Their time is up. It was inevitable anyway. They were going to crash and burn. Shout out to Love Jones in the building. Let me drop a bomb for sis. Yeah. Of course they're going to take away aid from people that was, you know, they would consider their allies. But their allies turning their back on them. Like, nah. If they leaving, we leaving. Like, what makes you think we going to stick around when y'all falling? Bye-bye. Good luck with that. And people leaving. As a matter of fact, it could... I wonder if I should say this on YouTube. Nah. Let me stop. Let me stop right there. I'm not going to say what I was going to say because I don't know who watching. I don't know who watching. But we can say it on the 13% server. You know what I'm saying? Thank you, Levante. Man. Shout out to Miss A.K. I like that. It was like a pause. Cherokee Born. Keyshawn. Doc Moon Goddess in the building. Key Monique. Thank you, sister. So Sinful Greatness. I think that's, I appreciate that, sister. I'm trying to make all that out. Show, is that how you going? SN for Greatness, Show for Greatness. Thank you, sister. I appreciate that. That's major right there. Let me drop a bomb for the sister. Key Monique in the building. Choctaw, Montana in the building. Marcus in the building. Yes, the 13%. Throw it back in their face. Because they need us to survive, y'all. They need us. If we pull a plug right now and say, no, nah, we gonna create our own currency. Oh, it's over. It's over, but it will be over. Trump gonna be like, well, I tried to warn everyone. They didn't want to listen to me, but you know what? Hillary didn't listen. Joe Biden didn't want to listen, but it was okay. It's okay. We're gonna make it through. We're gonna make America great again. I'm gonna get hired. It's gonna be some beautiful, beautiful people. And my African American friends, beautiful people. They're gonna hire me. Of course. We could do business with Trump. We could do business with Trump. You know what I'm saying? You show loyalty, we gonna show loyalty back. You know what I'm saying? Hey. But yeah, man.
So at what point did you know you just had it and you had to keep going?
When I woke up.
This morning, what'd you think?
Let's get it.
Let's get it. It's up. So, if y'all about that, do y'all thing. Hit that link. You need help with genealogy. That's in there too. As a matter of fact, I don't know if I mentioned that, but that's in there also. You need help with genealogy, get in there. We got that stuff set up. BX in the building. I appreciate that. BX 24 the culture. I appreciate that. Thank you, brother. I appreciate that. Instagram Dimp Zaddy. I appreciate that, brother. Thank you. I appreciate that for the donation. Let me drop a bomb for y'all. S3M, thank you for the donation. I think that's hard that they putting the gifts on there. I like that. That voice was on point. I'm actually losing it. I used to do Trump better than that. But yeah, I gotta listen. See, he ain't been on TV. You know, if he be on TV, I listen to him some more. I probably could get his voice down pack a little bit better. But yeah, man, we could do this on our own, and we don't necessarily need, you know, some like, for example, we don't necessarily need the entertainment realm to help us. We can actually do it on our own. It's other people that are millionaires that I know of right now that are not in the entertainment field. We could do this. And those that are you that are, you know, that will be considered black immigrants or stuff like that, I'm not really going to be doing that. If you for us, you my brother and you my sister. Come on over. Let's do this. This ain't no cult. We ain't about to get down with no religious belief. This ain't no Freemason type of stuff. If you ready, and you trying to get something done, and you know you could put something on the table, you could bring something to the table, state it. Mention it. Put it up. I don't care about your religious belief. I don't care about it ain't about that. We ain't about to be showing no disrespect to nobody's religious belief in our community server. That's out. You know, you could believe in what you want to believe in, and there's nothing wrong, but I want you to believe in yourself. Believe in yourself, because the more people that believe in themselves, the better off that we are as a collective, as a community. If everybody believe in themselves and what they're doing, and everybody's on one accord as far as what the cause is for, the outcome is priceless, beautiful, absolutely phenomenal. I can't wait to see that, and I know it's going to happen because it's inevitable. I told y'all they couldn't hold it. I told y'all they couldn't hold their water. I told y'all. I told you. They struggling now. They struggling now. And then they try to lock Trump up to shut him up. So what you gonna do about Junior? If Junior run, everybody gonna vote. If Ivanka run, everybody gonna vote. Anybody with the Trump last name, they gonna vote for. So you can lock up Trump, you know what I'm saying? But what about, you know what I'm saying? I'm just saying, y'all. I mean, the Simpsons might have predicted it. I don't know. But I love y'all. Who that? Lil Tony Flood. I appreciate that. Let me shout out the brother Michael. I appreciate that. Michael Hall. Oh, Hull. Oh, my accent, y'all. I'm from DC. Y'all gotta excuse my accent. Look, I'm over here trying to pronounce everything proper, then DC come out of me. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, when I go to Atlanta, I like how some Atlanta people, when they, like I say, you know what I'm saying? Atlanta people be like, you dig what I'm saying? You dig what I'm saying? You know, New York be like, nah, I mean. New Jersey, New York, nah, I mean. And down south, you like, nah, time out. Nah, time out. What up, Texas? Nah, time out. Hey, I love y'all. I love us as a people. I'm hugging all of y'all right now, man. I love y'all. Deontay, I appreciate that. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, man. Southside Alabama in the building. Yeah, no, top mot. Yeah. Chicago, you understand me? Yeah, you understand me? That is Chi-Town. Chi-Town, what up? That's true. Midwest, you feel me? You feel me? That's all. Hey, y'all already know. Nah, man, yeah. Look, I love that. Hey, and you talk about we come up with our own, like, I ain't gonna get into it, y'all. We come up with everything. We the trendsetters. We are the trendsetters. They try to copy us this whole time because they know we got everything. I mean, but we gotta know we got everything. That's the only thing. That's the only thing, y'all. Kick it in gear, y'all. The tires are waiting. The engine is there. We are the engine. INJUN. We are the engine. Come on. Let's push this thing, man. Let's make it happen. Be more, you heard me? Oh, Louisiana too, you heard me? Louisiana too. Yeah, they, man, look. I love y'all. We are the originators, exactly. I agree. We are the originators. We're gonna do this again. I did it 4 times in March. That's a world record for me, man. That's, hey, I gotta give myself props for that. 4 times I went live in March. Let's see what we can do in April. Probably gonna be more. Let's do it. I love y'all. Y'all take care. I'm gonna see y'all shortly. Why though?
I'm just here to make you think.